Hi everyone, I am Meeru Batra and you can consider me like your buddy. So, in the earlier podcast, we actually understood and we actually talked about how money and happiness are related to each other. We understood if money can buy you happiness, or it can buy you comfort, or it can give you a luxurious life, and whatnot. And of course, everybody has a different opinion on that. So, leaving that aside now we'll be talking about social connections, relationships, and happiness. So, I know all these three are quite connected and interrelated as relationships and happiness. Of course, who can ever say that being in a good relationship, be it with anyone, your parents, your dog, your friends, your partner, or even God, cannot provide you with happiness? So, let us dive deeper and talk more about on this. So, human beings are social creatures by nature. From early childhood to old age, our family relations, our relationships with friends, etc., all affect us and shape us. Research shows that many fields, psychology, sociology, etc., have the same opinion about this. So, strong social connections are one of the most powerful predictors of happiness. You know what? Relationships provide us with emotional support, a sense of belonging, and it helps us to grow personally as well. When we share our joys with others, we actually feel relieved. We want them to actually feel happy with us, and they actually do. I think people think that this is not how it works, because when you're actually sharing your joys with your friends, they might feel jealous. But again, if somebody feels jealous or if somebody is not happy in your happiness, they are not your people. Somebody who actually loves you, who actually wants you to see you shine, they'll always be happiness in your happiness, and they'll always try to not take your shine away or not take your moment away. They'll always want you to shine. And people who are jealous, who want the opposite, leave them, because you don't know, but they are not good for you, and you might realize this when it becomes very late, and you might be heartbroken. And it's not only about the joys. People who actually care for you, they'll always be with you. And when we say that there are people who will always be by your side when you are actually happy, when you're actually rich, when everything is fine. But only people, the real people that are by your side, will always stand with you through the rough and tough times. They'll never leave you. A lot of people might come and go. They might be with you in your good and happy times. But only those who stay and only those who actually be with you throughout the rough and tough times are the ones that are real people, and that you should always value and never leave. When you're sharing your struggles, you actually feel relieved. A lot of times when I'm struggling, or I am emotional, or I am unhappy, I really sometimes talk to my good friends, and I think they really understand me. And not only that, I think my parents, any inconvenience that I face, I run to them and I always share it with them. Of course, everyone is different, so everyone might have different relationships, they might have different people with them, they might feel different when they actually share their struggles or happiness with others. For me, my parents are someone that I can share my happiness and struggles with, and they will understand it. For some people, they might be more comfortable sharing their struggles, their good times, their happiness, their victories with their friends, as they think they will understand them more. I've seen a lot of people who just don't like being in company of people, so they actually have their pets that they can actually share their victories and their struggles or their stories with them. And again, I think it is very, very, very wrong to say that only humans understands humans. I think it is also animals who understand you to a lot of extent, and you can actually share whatever you want with them. So I do think that saying out what you feel and discussing with the people you love is actually a really powerful tool for making you happy or relieved. Sometimes what happens is that people do feel that their friends are not understanding them or they're not appreciating them, so they actually become lonely, and they think that being in relationships, being friends with anybody is just extremely illogical, and they should rather be with themselves. They isolate themselves, and that is what actually leads them to become depressed, to have anxiety all the time. They are sad, they lose themselves, and it also leads to physical illness, because relationships and actually bonding with someone, these two things are more complicated in real life. And when you actually apply it, it is very easy to say that okay, you form relationships and you can actually share your struggles with everyone, but it actually takes a lot of effort from both sides to actually understand people and to actually make them feel heard, valued, and actually just be with them. Sometimes it is, people say that when you're actually discussing anything, your issues or anything with your partner, your friend, or anyone, it does not always require them to actually suggest you something, or they should actually give you an opinion or advice. But just the silence that you have, that is something that you need the most sometimes. For example, if you are in a relationship and you are married and you are talking to your husband or your wife and you're disclosing your vulnerabilities or your hard times with them, and even if you're wrong, there might be chances and there might be situations where you are the one who is wrong and you are the one who needs to be explained and who needs to be made, and who needs to be actually told that you are not doing the right thing. But because you are in that zone and you're not mentally stable that time, you're not in that situation or that space where you can actually understand what is right and wrong, you just need someone to be by your side, to just listen to you, to hold your hand, to give you a shoulder on which you can cry, and just be like, I am with you and I will never leave you, and we are in this together. And of course, when that person is fine, when they actually are out of that zone, when they are actually in that position and in that mental space to understand what is right and wrong, then you actually correct them, then you tell them that okay, this is right, this is wrong. And when it's not happening that way, you just be by their side and comfort them. That is a very, very, very powerful tool, and that is not something that happens in relationships as in like when you are married or you are with your partner, but even with your friends, your parents, anyone. So I do think that quality of relationships matter more than the quantity. I mean, I think I would be more happy and I would be more satisfied if I just have one friend, that one friend who is actually a genuine friend of mine, who is real, and I know that person will actually never leave me in the hard times, instead of having 20 different friends who I know are just here for the tea, for the fun, and they are not my real people. So I think when it comes to this, quality is more powerful and appreciated than quantity, because I don't want some shallow acquaintances with me. I don't want them to laugh with me when I'm actually sharing my happy moments, but from within they are burning, they are cursing me, they are praying for my defeat, etc. I want to feel secure, I want to feel loved and appreciated by people who are actually mine, and that is okay for me if there is also just one person who is by my side and who understands me. Now, talking about social connections. Now we have talked about relationships, different forms of relationships, but now it's time to move on. So now we're moving from relationships to social connections. So what is, if I ask you, what is the difference between a relationship with a person, with any person, and a social connection or a social bond? So what would you say? How will you describe the social connection between people and the relationships between people? I will give you 10 seconds to actually think about it in your minds, and then we'll resume this podcast. And your 10 seconds start now. Okay, your 10 seconds are over. So again, I think there is a lot of difference between social connection and relationships, but people do think that they are the same. Of course, they might be the same, but again, the difference might be subtle or might be bigger. So social connection is the bigger idea. It means any kind of bond that you have with people. It can be a close bond or it can be a casual bond. For example, a close bond between me and my family, me and my friends, me and my best friend. And a social connection could be with my neighbor, with my servant. That is a social connection wherein I might be very close to a person, and it could be a casual relationship as well. Also, relationships are more specific. They're deeper connections, like with your best friend, your bond with your parents. You cannot actually substitute relationships to social connections. Social connection is basically the feeling or network of being connected to people. It is broader, and relationships is the actual bonds that you have with specific people. So that is the difference. So now when we talk about social connections, I think they give you meaning. They give life a meaning, because it is not always important to have a relationship with a person if you want to be happy. It might give you a lot of happiness, more happiness, but still, if you are just interacting with someone, even your neighbor, for 5 minutes, you're talking to them, it actually makes you happy. You know what? Surveys and statistics actually say that 10 minutes of talking to your best friend or talking to anyone that you might think is a good person, is your person, actually reduces stress, and it actually makes you sleep faster. So that is the power of relationships and social connections. When you are in a community, you actually are with a lot of people, and you know that relationships might not always work out, and you need anyone to be with, and you're like, okay, even if it's not a friend, it could be my neighbor, maybe I can share something with them, maybe they can understand it. Sometimes what happens is, sometimes people that you know less than your friends, than your parents, they actually are able to give you such great advices, and they're able to understand you so much better than your own people. And in today's time, when there is so much social media, YouTube, a lot of these things, phone addiction, I think there is just no time that people are actually spending on when it comes to meeting people, forming relationships, forming bonds. I mean, we just neglect the power of that. We don't know how actually real relationships, social connections, bonds actually shape our lives. They give us strength, and they give us everlasting happiness. I don't think online meetings and online communications can ever replace face-to-face communication. I think speaking 5 minutes to my best friend would provide me with a more joyful and happier life, instead of actually listening to music for 5 minutes or watching or scrolling through Instagram. So to conclude, I do think social connections and relationships are the very heart of a happy life. True happiness grows not from wealth, fame, achievement, popularity. Of course, these are some sources of happiness, but more is the companionship that we share with others. Investing in relationship is actually one of the most valuable investments. Of course, it is not the monetary, I would say, investment, and it is actually more like costly and harder investment than a monetary one, because again, in a monetary one, you can actually get back what you have lost. But when it comes to relationships, because you have actually invested your heart, your mind, it is really, 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 really hard for you to come back from what has actually defeated you. So you should actually wisely make your relationships. You should wisely choose people who you know will always be by your side, because you don't want your heart to get broken, or you don't want to lose yourself. So you need to be with people who actually appreciate who you for who you are. And true people will never leave you. They'll love you in any shape, size, color. It doesn't matter if you're fat, if you're tall, if you're short, if you weigh this much, or if you are poor. They will love you no matter what. And that is one criteria that you should set if you want to find a person who you know will be yours. Two things: they should always be by your side, not only in the good times but also bad times, and they should always love you no matter how much you change as a person. They should grow with you. They should actually be with you. They should not run when you're in a bad space. So that is all. So I really hope that you were able to understand or just grab few things that you thought were valuable in this podcast. And I really want all of you to actually introspect and just think about what I just spoke to you about, and just give your views, your opinions, and share what you feel about this. And yeah, just stay safe, stay happy, and be connected to people. Be great, share your happy moments with others, and just be the way you are. Thank you.